Hi everyone, Salena Walker here from Wild Welsh Herbalism, and today I want to talk about what does that word wild actually mean. So come into the wild with me and let's explore what is wild herbalism. So wild herbalism is all about the wild herbs. And where I live here in Ysbryd on 10 acres of land, very much so, a lot of it we've left to the wild and we are bringing back to the wild. You can see here I'm walking through a willow archway that we've created, but there's plenty of wild herbs growing around even the areas that we've cultivated. As we walk down to the veg garden, I'm still surrounded, yes, by cultivated vegetables and our veg beds, but there's still wild herbs everywhere. And chances are what you might be taking out of your veg beds are the very herbs that I teach about. In fact, I've even had students go back and put their weeds back in the ground so they can actually make use of them. You can see here in this early spring bed, a beautiful mullein that I've left come up amongst the broad beans and the peas. We've got cabbages, but along here are the self-seeded valerian. These will be moving into the wild soon, but here are the wild herbs just amongst the cultivated herbs. And then you get the woodland edges, which are brimming with wild medicine. Just in this one patch alone, I can see wood avens, lesser celandine, cleavers, primrose, bramble. There's just so much life here. There's ivy, there's ground ivy. It's brimming with medicine. You don't have to go far in the wild. Medicine is there. So in the wild is where the herbs live. It's where the most potent herbs are. Reason being, a lot of the wild spaces, the ground has not been disrupted. And that means the nutrients are still in the soil. Now the problem comes when we learn about these herbs, but we learn about them out of a book rather than out in the wild. And then we might order these herbs and they arrive in a plastic bag in the post. Now some of those herbs might have been collected from the wild, but the problem is, even then, if they are collected from the wild, have they identified the correct herb? How long ago was it harvested? How long has it been dried for? And also, is it a herb that we should not be collecting from the wild because it's in danger? So Wild Welsh Herbalism, the reason the word wild is there is because I'm inviting you to work with the wild herbs, to go out to the wild edges. Even if you live in the city, you can invite the wild herbs if you've got a small garden or even a couple of pots. But even if you've got no garden at all, most of these wild herbs love just reappearing wherever they can, in the cracks of pavements, even in the cities and towns. So you will find them there. Now, many herbal courses talk about these wild herbs, but you're not introduced to them in the wild. You're not encouraged to use them from the wild. And in fact, some herbalists even will not actually touch the wild herb. There's herbalists these days that get a certified herbalist course and can't recognise the herbs out in the wild. Now in Wild Welsh Herbalism, what I teach you to go out to the wild. I teach you how to identify the herbs. I teach you how to make medicine from the herbs. And I teach you how to get in touch with your own wild instinct. And it's all about that. It's about you connecting in with your wild essence. It's about you connecting with the wild herbs. Oh, hello, Midnight. Midnight the cat has decided to make an appearance. He's my wild mini panther that roams around Ysbryd. Chief quality control of Wild Welsh Herbalism, aren't you? So being wild, you can look at him. He's just wandering round, being as wild as he can as a domestic cat. And that's the invitation through Wild Welsh Herbalism I have for you. It's about connecting in with the true meaning of being human on this earth. It's about you becoming semi-feral? Do you feel like you've become too domesticated? Do you feel too locked in? Because what you won't find from me on my YouTube channel, on my courses, you won't find glamour, you won't find sparkliness, because what brings the glamour and the sparkle is the medicine. You will never see me do slow motion movies, creating something just for the sake of it. Every single video I do, it's me just showing you what is happening here in the wild. So my invitation to you is to get out into the wild. Tune in to your inner wild and look what plants you're surrounded by. And just like here, where we have planted things and encouraged the wild to come through, that's what I want to encourage in you. I want you to bring your wildness into the modern day, but really connect in, really hook in to the wild that you have available to you. There is wild everywhere, even in the city, and there is wild within you. Part of my own journey was connecting back in with the wild. Part of that was coming to live on 10 acres of land, initially with no house, no solar panels, no electricity, living by candlelight for a couple of years. Living in a caravan while we built that house there. But through that process, it was all about connecting back in with the wild, connecting back in with the wild plants and with my own wild self. And that was part of my healing journey of my own autoimmune disease. And in fact, in Welsh mythology stories, you will often find that how people have transformation is through connecting in with the wild, through the wild beings, through the wild plants, through the wild stories. So if you are ready to go even deeper, then subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's loads of videos to help you do that. And I'm filming this in the end of April, well, around the end of April. And this time of year, my Wild Welsh Herbalism course online is open for enrolments. I only take a few people every year because I want to be able, make sure I can connect with you and to help you to connect with the plants. So head on over to my website. I've put a link in the details of this video. If you are ready to connect to your inner wild self, if you are ready to connect to the beautiful wild beings, then head on over there, because I would love for you to join me on a year-long journey discovering Wild Welsh Herbalism.